Stiltner, and she was with her for days.
Trip to, was it Costa Rica, the first trip? Yes. To Costa Rica to a seminary for a construction project with a group of teens and a few adults from our church. And because of the scouting connection, I had invited Jim. He was very interested in international affairs, and so I took him with me on that trip. And when he came back, he was so turned on with the youth group that had gone on that trip that he began attending our church here in Centralia, the Nazarene Church. And Bob and Virginia were attending, and they had always been attending the Baptist church in Chehalis. But because Jim started attending our church, then Bob and Virginia checked us out, and realized, we're not so weird. And they started attending and Bible study and so forth. And it wasn't long before they enjoyed the fellowship and started attending as a family to our church. And then we got involved with a Bible study, a home Bible study here that was very enjoyable with them. Virginia, well, both of them were students of the Word and students of things religious, things about God.
After she did retire from all nursing, she met me in the parking lot at church, and she said, I've been praying that God would help me to be able to use my nursing skills in some way to help someone. And she said, my prayer's been answered. She said, I just prayed that, and I received a phone call, and a young woman from our church was undergoing a bone marrow transplant, and she had been in the hospital for months and was so ill, and she needed somebody to be with her at all times. Virginia volunteered to go up to the hospital and in Seattle and be with Gail Stiltner, and she was with her for days, and so I remember that's special about her.
I liked working at the orthopedic center, and part of that was selfish because they would come in, oh, Mrs. Lintott, we're so glad to see you. And they call me Mrs. Lintott, I knew they knew me from school.
She joined Washington Orthopedic Center as a nurse, and then became the chief nurse or the principal nurse for Lisa Lamoureux, who was a woman orthopedist that joined our practice and was a sports medicine specialist. She herself was a fantastic athlete as well, a mountain biker and athlete. And Virginia was her nurse, and they just worked as an absolute pair, a team, for several years.
One of the doctors I worked for there, a young woman, I told her if she would become pregnant and have a child, which I felt she should do, that I would become her nanny. And she hesitated for a while, but finally she got pregnant. So then Ashlyn was born in 98. So I became her nanny, and they moved away about 3 years ago. I moved to Oregon with them for 6 months to continue so that Ash wouldn't have to make an adjustment to school because she was 5. So she wouldn't have to adjust to school and a new nanny too. But after 6 months I said, no, I need to go home. And I go and see her quite often though.
Virginia made Ashlyn her top priority during those years. And while Lisa was nursing her, she would come by the office in between patients several times a day so that Dr. Lisa could nurse her baby and still have some of that close mothering and bonding to her baby.
I moved to Centralia, Washington to start out of my residency in orthopedic practice, and when I was in the process of moving, the CEO said, well, we have a nurse who's come out of retirement and she won't be your nurse permanently, but she's going to help you get started, and then we'll find you a younger nurse, and so just bear with us. And I showed up, and within 3 weeks when Kevin came and said, okay, now you can start interviewing your nurse, I said, you've got to be kidding me. We couldn't find anybody to replace Virginia. And Virginia was mother to all of us. She was a best friend. She was just amazing. She helped me start my practice. She brought me into a new community and helped me make friends. And she helped me while Glenn was gone because he was living in a different city finishing his training. And she'd always said that she was only there temporarily, that she was going to retire again. And one day my pregnancy test came through, and she pulled it off the computer, and she came and she said, "I'm about ready to retire, and I think you need a nanny." And I couldn't believe that she would do that to help us. And it was a bit of a problem because I didn't want her to not keep working with me because I needed her so desperately, but I couldn't think of anybody else that I would trust my child to. And she made Ash the person that she is. She helped her grow and mature into just an amazing young woman. And Virginia helped us when we moved down here to get started, and we begged her to stay with us because she was such a part of our family. We couldn't imagine being without her. But she moved back because her family still take precedence. And she's still always in our hearts and always communicating with us and traveling and sharing her experiences. And we just miss her so much. And if we could make her come down here and be with us, we would, but we know that she still needs to be with her own family. But Virginia, I love you so much, and thank you.
So my favorite memory of Virginia is her changing all those diapers that I didn't have to. Thank you, Virginia. My lasting thoughts of memory of Virginia will always be that when I grow up, I want to be Virginia. She's a world traveler, she's independent, she's very thinking on the fly, she's very MacGyverish. I just think she's just a wonderful person, kind and very well-rounded, yet comes from just very humble roots. Virginia, we all love you, and we miss you a lot. Bye.
My favorite memory about Virginia is, well, ever since I was born, I've known her. I don't really remember being born and being little, but I have pictures to prove it. And I just remember having sleepovers there. I remember how I always wanted to be with her, and I never wanted to go anywhere else. She's just always been such a great friend. So for a while, I actually thought that she was my grandma. She has just been so fun and awesome. There's no one who could really replace her. I miss her when she's not here, and I wish I could spend more time with her. I really, really love her. I love you, Graham.